When it comes to coloured pencil, there are a few techniques that are absolutely fundamental to, I guess, the success of creating something that looks realistic. So in this video, I just wanted to kind of bring the technique of layering. I'm not sure whether I'd call it a technique. I mean, it basically is the foundation of coloured pencil, is layering. It's how you mix your colours. You know, if you work with watercolour or you work with oil paints or acrylics, you would tend to sort of mix colours on a palette. You know, but with coloured pencils, it's more about kind of mixing on the surface. I guess it's quite good when you can find a colour that almost matches the colour that you're trying to create on the surface of the animal that you're trying to create. But it's very, very rare that you're going to get a colour that is the perfect match, and it's very rare that using just one colour you're going to sort of be able to get the richness and also the depth that you're after. With this particular horse that I was drawing this month, I found a combination of 3, maybe 4 colours were a really, really perfect match. Not that I'm ever trying to match a colour exactly. I'm more interested in the values, and you can see that I've brought kind of values. I've brought little dark sort of elements in, and where we've got shadows and stuff in here. But you know, obviously colour is going to be important if you're drawing a realistic portrait of somebody's pet or horse or whatever. With this particular one, I'm working on drafting film, and I've found a combination of the luminance apricot, the polychromos burnt sienna, and the polychromos caput mortem violet has worked really, really well to get this quite vibrant bright bay colour that I've got coming through on the top of the neck here. And it's a question, when it comes to layering, it's a question of getting those colours in over the top of each other. And what happens when you so I'm bringing the burnt sienna in at the moment here, and it goes down, and it's quite a sort of a reddy brown. It's a bit boring, I have to say. It's a bit flat with just that initial layer. But then when you start to bring in some of the other colours on the top of it, so the caput mortem violet in, or that really sort of bright orangey apricot colour, you start to get a lovely depth, and you start to get a glow in the in the fur that you're drawing. It is a very slow process. You can see here it's almost like I'm drawing every single hair. I'm not. What I'm trying to do is bring a little bit of the texture in there. Film is a funny surface to draw on. You know, as soon as you get your pencil colour down, it sticks. You can't really blend it like you can with other pencils. But you can add little bits in here. You can see I'm adding the apricot in over the top of that burnt sienna, and it's kind of making it alive. It's bringing out a real richness in there. I don't need to add hundreds and hundreds of layers on the film. I probably get 20 at a push, you know, if I needed to. But if I can find a combination of colours that are going to give me that lovely rich bay colour, you know, just using those are going to kind of replicate that colour and give me a really, really lovely realistic look. So it's finding the colours that are going to work for you. Now, I don't tend to swatch, so I don't tend to jot all of the colours down that I'm going to use before I start drawing. I find, for me, that's quite limiting. So if I start to go through and I'll go, oh, I'm going to use this colour and this colour and this colour and this colour, I find that is quite limiting for me, and I prefer to pick the colours as I go through the actual piece. I will have an idea in mind as to the colours that I want to use, so I'll have almost like an inventory in my head. I'm going to be drawing a bay horse. What colours I'm going to use? I'll probably use caput mortem violet. I'll probably use burnt sienna. I'll probably use burnt ochre. I'll probably use a bit of, you know, terracotta. Probably a little bit of walnut brown. But what I might do once I start kind of choosing those colours and putting them down on the surfaces, I might end up not choosing one of those and picking something instead. Like I might choose an Indian red, for example, or I might choose a Venetian red, which is a little bit more pinky. You know, and I don't want to be limited to, you know, a set of swatches that I've created at the beginning. I also find creating the swatches at the beginning, for me, it's a little bit of a waste of time, really, because I'm just going to do my own thing once I get into the drawing. So I find it, I just don't. I know other people do, and that works for their techniques, but for me, I don't swatch. I colour mix on my page, and I have that inventory of colours going through my head. You know, so when I'm looking at my photograph, I look at the colour I'm trying to represent, and I have all of the pencils start floating around in my head. I can then pick and choose the ones that I want to use. The other thing that I've learnt to do sort of over the few years that I've been drawing is I can actually colour mix in my head. I think you get to know your colours and your pencils really, really well. So I know absolutely that if I bring Caput Morton Violet in over the top of Burnt Sienna, I'm going to get sort of like a really rich sort of orangey browny colour. And I also know that if I bring the apricot in over the top, I'm not going to get like a bright orange, but it's just going to really, really richen up the colours that I've got underneath it. So in this case, it's the Burnt Sienna and a little bit of the Caput Morton Violet. And then a touch of the Light Fast Flame, which is a really, really vibrant orange, which is going to give that lovely vibrancy that you're seeing coming through into the bright bay of the horse. I find working in sections when I'm layering really, really helps me and my brain to kind of comprehend what it is that I'm trying to do. There are many, many, many different roads to Rome, and you know, there's no right or wrong way to do something. This particular technique of me working in a section rather than kind of putting you know, going through layer and layer and layer over the entire subject, this particular way of creating these layers and the realism and everything, it just really helps me understand what it is that I'm trying to do. I work up a section at a time to the sort of like the end piece, the finished product. My brain then knows exactly what it is that I'm trying to do, and then I find it easier to work through the rest of the piece. So I might put, you can see I've put sort of like quite a large area of the apricot down, and then I start to work up little by little that section. So I go, you know, colour by colour. I know some artists kind of go, you know, they'll fill the entire section, then with another layer, then with another layer, then with another, and it's what works for you. And this particular way is how it works for me, and it's how I teach. I find I'm far more confident working in this way because I'm bringing each little bit up to an end bit and it looks realistic very, very quickly. And I need that for my peace of mind and my confidence. I need to sort of see something, you know, looking quite pretty quite quickly. You know, so I'll try and avoid any prolonged areas of ugliness, if that makes sense. You know, we all go through the ugly stage, but I'll try and avoid it lasting too long, which is why I kind of use this technique. So if you're new to pencils, you know, the layering is crucial, you know, particularly when you're creating realism, because you're building up all of that lovely depth, and you're also bringing in sort of like the values and stuff like that in there. The other really crucial bit about the layering is that you use your pencil in the right direction. So in this case, it's in the direction that the horse's hair is growing. That is absolutely vital for realism because it helps to create the form, you know, and it shows what's sort of going on underneath the hair and the skin, basically. You'll find more videos on YouTube around layering. You can also join my Patreon, and don't forget to join my Academy waitlist. The doors open again on the 26th of December.